Welcome back, vacationers, on another video. In today's video, I kind of just want to talk about our latest trip to the Orlando area, where we actually went to the parks. It's been a very long time that we've gone to Walt Disney World theme parks. I believe the last time we went was about a year and a half, maybe a little bit more than that. So it was different. It was a completely different change from what we're so accustomed to and used to, because pre-COVID we had fast passes, we had park hoppers, and we had annual passes. So for the most part, we kind of just did as we wish when it came to the parks. Very little, I would say, did we actually stay in a park for an entire day, right? We just picked and choose what we wanted to do, and then we would go back to the resort and kind of just hang out at the resort. And if there was a late night show like Fantasmic, we would just go back to the parks and check that. There was no reservations or any of that, so it was a change for us. But regardless of the fact, it was still fun. So I kind of just want to talk on a few topics, which includes safety, crowd levels, and lines, and then I could kind of give my own twist, because at the end of the day, you kind of want to know the answer to the title of this video, right? Is Disney worth going during a pandemic and the holidays? Is it worth your pay and your time for this? So to begin, when it comes to safety, Disney hit it out of the ballpark. Tara, she's a nurse, so our level was a little bit on high, which it should be for everybody. So we didn't know what we were gonna get ourselves into. We were afraid that we made this trip going to the parks, and then we'll get there and say, you know what, we feel uncomfortable, we're gonna have to leave, and then we lose all that money. But from entry point throughout the park, Disney did a really good job of keeping everything safe and organized. Before you even walk in, they have white tents set up where you walk in and then you get red for your temperature. And then once you walk through that, you go to security. One thing about security that I actually liked and kind of shocked me a little bit, in my head I was thinking pre-COVID, where I have all this equipment for the camera in my bag. I had to put it down, wait in line, get it checked. Nothing like that. I literally just walked through, and then even Tara was like, oh, when are we gonna get through security? And I was like, we just passed security. So I thought that was really cool. It makes everything a lot smoother, a lot better. Again, I don't know how it works on the back end, but something's going on there, because Tara was pulled to the side twice. Then when it came to the front desk, because like I said, we had annual passes, but we stopped. So this time around, we did the Voyager 3-day pass for Florida residents. And that was another thing that I had in my mind pre-getting to the parks. Because one of the things that I gotta say I loathe the most is waiting in line for customers or guest service. Because the guest service, especially in Magic Kingdom, it's a ride on its own. But when we got there, there was no line. There was basically no line. Like, we went up there, I don't know if it was because we got there early and the attendance was low, or it was because just Disney has they have their things together. Like, it felt so smooth. Like, you walk in, you walk up and they have everything organized, and then it's just boom, 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 boom. Before I knew it, I was already at the kiosk, and then they asked me my name, my information, everything, blah, 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 blah. It was like literally smooth sailing, which kind of leads to the crowd levels. But before I get to the crowd levels, let me put on two more notes when it comes to safety. So when it comes to the mask, they are a dictatorship. They are extremely strict when it comes to the mask. The guidelines is that you have to have your mask above your nose and covering your mouth at all times. The only time you can take off your mask is if you're in a designated zone, you're eating, sitting down, or you're stationary taking a drink. Why do I say that? Because I got scolded at 3 times because of my mask. And again, it's not Disney's fault, but it got frustrating. I was a little bit frustrated. But again, Disney's just doing the right thing. You have cast members and kind of supervisors kind of walking around and then they'll go through the lines to make sure, hey, please keep the distance between each party. So I thought they did a great job with that. When it came to the food, that was also a good thing. At first, it kind of turned me a little bit off, just because of the fact that when we got there the first day, we just wanted coffee and a light snack, something I could kind of quickly pick up at a kiosk or something like that, right? A vending, but I had to do it through the app. So I was a little bit turned off, but then when I did the app, it was actually very smooth and very easy. And my food took no more than 2 minutes to 5 minutes for me to order, pick up, and eat. No, I'm not gonna lie, it was that seamless, and I actually really like that. And I think moving forward, that's how it should be, right? Because once you place your order, you get your notification, then they tell you where to go. You stand at the bay that you need to be at, you show them your ticket number or your food order number, and then they give you your food, and then you go grab your condiments. There is no lines. Like, I looked around and I didn't see lines. It was just the people going in, grabbing the food, and coming back out. So like I said, I thought that was very seamless, very safe. When it came to the tables and sitting at the tables, it was a bit strict, in the sense of that unless you're eating in that establishment or that diner, for example, you're not allowed to just walk up and sit down. In order for you to sit there, you have to go buy your food, grab your food, sit down, and then eat. The tables are also separated for the 6 feet distancing. So like I said, when it came to safety, Disney really did a great job. They hit it out of the ballpark. Not once did Tara and I felt unsafe or uncomfortable, where we're like, yeah, I don't think we can stay here any longer just because of feeling, unsafe. Which kind of leads to my next point, which is the crowd levels. Now, I'm used to pre-pandemic crowd levels, right, where everything is just, tight, shoulder to shoulder sometimes, and it could get very hectic and it could get very annoying. And coming to this one, it was not as crowded, so let me say that it didn't feel as crowded, but for the pandemic that we're in, it felt a little bit crowded, right? But even with the crowdness, and sometimes you will look out and you see like the gathering of people, and you're like, ooh, but then immediately you kind of look back again, and then it kind of spurs out. And then you see cast members kind of like, doing their thing. So it felt a bit crowded, but just not that bad. Magic Kingdom was crowded, but it was okay. Animal Kingdom wasn't as crowded, but Animal Kingdom usually doesn't have as much traffic as Magic Kingdom or Hollywood. To stay, we went to Magic Kingdom the first day, Animal Kingdom the second day, and Hollywood Studios the third day. Hollywood Studios it felt crowded. I was like, wow, this place is crowded. But after the 2 o'clock boarding, you saw people kind of leaving the park. And let me tell you, that ride, Rise of the Resistance, that is worth everything. No, I'm serious. It is by far one of the best experiences I've had in a theme park. Top 5 rides in all of Orlando. Don't ask me my top 5s because that's a hard question, but I could easily say it's probably top 1 or 2, right? Because as you see, I am a huge Star Wars fan. And that ride, I really felt submerged into that world. When you walk in and you see the stormtroopers and you see that bay, you immediately feel like, wow, I'm in Star Wars. And you would think that's where it ends. No, that's where it begins. It just compiles after that, where every single room you go to, it just submerges you even more, where you're at a point where you're like, holy. You're like, wow. Like, the engineers, they did this one right. You're like, yo, they ate them cookies, because this was fire. And the boarding passes are nuts. We got so lucky, like all the moons and all the stars, all the cosmos, whatever you want to call it, they all aligned, because we were a group of 6 and we woke up at 6:30 in the morning and we got them. But literally at 7 o'clock in the dot, they were gone. They were gone. And then I went again and tried at the 2 o'clock boarding, and no luck. They were just gone. But out of the 3 parks in this entire trip, that one was, Hollywood was the most packed. It felt packed, especially Star Wars Edge. It felt packed, like nothing in there you could walk in. Everything had a line. So that kind of goes to my last point, which is the lines. Dear Lord, and I'm telling you, I was spoiled, right? Me and Tara were spoiled. Like I said, we had annual passes, we had fast passes, we got to pick and choose what we wanted to do, right? This time, because there is no fast passes, there are no park hoppers, everybody is just there and they're stuck there unless you leave. And those lines were long. I'm telling you, those lines were long. The first ride we went to was the Haunted Mansion. And when I saw the Haunted Mansion line, my heart dropped. And my body immediately was about to just do a complete U-turn towards the exit of the park, and my head was just in a pool at the resort with a drink in my hand. But my cousin was right. It did move a lot faster than expected. So the posted time for that ride was around 50 minutes. But the actual ride itself, but the actual wait time was around 30 to 35 minutes. So, and that was kind of the gist for most of the big rides. The posted time was a little bit over by like 10 to 15 minutes. But regardless, if you're going to these parks, expect to wait a minimum 35 minutes or so to go on the big rides. And expect to wait at least 5 to 10 minutes to go into stores. In order to go to stores and buy souvenirs and buy stuff, you have to wait a line. You can't just walk in anymore. For little vendings to buy drinks, expect a line there. Expect a line everywhere. And again, this is coming from a person who had annual passes, who did fast passes. So it was just it was a difference to me. We were able to do all the big rides for all the parks. So we still were able to take the most out of the day and still have fun, regardless of the fact with everything that was going on. So to kind of answer the question of the title, if you were to ask me right now, would I go back to the parks next week? In all honesty, I will say no. And look, again, this has nothing, it's not Disney's fault. It's just the environment we're in and the conditions we're in. But going to Disney, I didn't go to Disney to get scolded, right? And that's kind of how it felt like in a sense. And again, it's not their fault. It was my fault. I get it 100%. But every time I felt like I was submerging myself into the atmosphere where I was like, yes, I'm in Disney, cool, and my shoulders kind of dropped a little, immediately something just snapped me right out and reminded me that, oh, I'm in a pandemic. And most of the rides didn't have pre-shows. Actually, none of the rides that we went on, except for Rise of the Resistance, had pre-shows. Everything was just basically a walk straight to the ride itself. So it took a lot away from the magic. So I have this image, and then I did have certain expectations going into the parks, or an idea going into the parks, but it was just different. And I would say that I would rather wait until things get a little bit better and things start to come back. Like for example, park hopping is gonna be coming back in January. We also heard that the Lion King show will be coming back early next year. So slowly but surely things are coming back to normalcy, and maybe then I would reconsider going back to the parks. But that was just my experience. That might not be yours. And in fact, what was your experience? If you've been to Disney in the past month, if you've been in November, December during the holidays, how was your experience? You know, let us know in the comments below. We would really like to know, because my experience was, like I said, it was a culture shock to me. If you like what you see, go ahead and please like the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. We put out a video every weekend. Until the next video, stay safe.